Oh, Sneaky, you're down.
Nope. No, I'm not. We're up. Still going.
Okay, it just shot the bed for me for a minute there.
Okay, we're all good. Okay, so as I was saying, this is what I have for you all today. As always, the links, if you wish to follow along, can be found in the Discord down below. So,
Oh,
this is
thank God. For a second, I thought it was Dragon Knight in Brockton Bay.
No. This is Warcraft Worm Crossover, a Death
Didn't
Knight
we do
in
this?
Brockton Bay. No, I think we did another story like this. Isley, can we get
I
a
am
final
almost
verdict?
positive we've done a Death Knight. No, we've done at least one Death Knight in
We've
Brockton
definitely
Bay.
done a Death Knight in Brockton Bay. I don't know if we've done DK in Brockton Bay. Isley, can we get a final verdict on that one?
I am nearly certain we have, and yes, I agree with chat. Donkey Kong in Brockton Bay would be way more fun. That'd be way more fun.
So, and the only reason why I know we haven't done this one is because this was published March 3rd.
I suppose that would put it out of the realm of coverage.
Yes. So, the summary, the amazing, fantastic, absolutely soul-shattering summary that just makes you want to read this visceral story. A DK arrives in Brockton.
That's it.
No punctuation.
That's all we get.
Yes, that's
lazy sack of shit.
See, the problem here is twofold. A, it sucks, but B is you're using an abbreviation that, while I do say typically you are reading a story if you are a fan of both of them, I'm a fan of Warcraft. It took me a second to remember what the current WoW lingo is referring to when someone says DK.
Okay, look, even leaving aside current WoW lingo, first of all, the problem with using DK as an abbreviation is, specifically in video games, I can name at least 4 different things it can stand for, just off the top of my head. You've got the most popular and well-known, which is going to be Donkey Kong. Then you've got Death Knights from WoW. You've got Dragon Knight from Dota.
Yeah.
And then you've got... Oh, damn it, what was the other one? I'm sure there's other brands of Death Knights out there.
Yeah, that's true. But anyway, this is just gonna be a garbage story, so let's just get it over with.
Hold on, let me fire up the fucking trash barrel.
Yes. Anyway,
Where the
author's
story
note:
belongs.
I don't know what I'm doing, and I don't know where I'm going with this. This is just a scene that popped into my mind. So first off, you didn't mark it as a one-shot, which is already actually against writing guidelines. Yeah. But that's not the point here. The real point here is this is going to be one of those daydreams that got written down into a story, and I don't mean like the really descriptive sort of daydreams where you're like, what if X did X? Like I had a daydream a couple days ago of what happens if Adam Jensen, post-human revolution goes to sleep one night and, wakes up in the hunter's dream. Yeah.
I mean, not a whole lot, really? Like, he's not gonna bring any of his neat shit with him.
Why not?
As far as I know, based on what I know about the Hunter's Dream, you just show up in it. Like, it just grabs people.
Yes, the mental image of a person.
Oh, yeah, I guess if it's grabbing the mental image... Yeah, I guess?
The guy from the Jensens. What the fuck is the Jensens?
Do they mean the Jetsons?
Probably. No, Adam Jensen from Human Revolution, Deus Ex. Yeah. Jesus.
Better fucking know what Deus Ex is.
Oh boy. Anyway, let's continue. Cat Ray looked around her. Period. Bottles of what looked like alcoholic
Cat
beverages.
Ray. Oh
Yes.
my god. You've never played Deus Ex?
Wow. Now I just feel
If nothing
old.
else, you really should go back and play the original one because it's fantastic.
At minimum, Invisible War. Bottles of what looked like alcoholic beverages on the back wall behind the comma. She looked left and then right again, confirming her first impression. I feel like we've read this before.
I don't think we've read this
No,
particular one.
Did someone plagiarize?
No.
No,
Surely not.
I'm definitely getting vibes that we've read this before. No, this is a bar. Can I get a room here? No, you need to go to the motel. Yeah, no. We have absolutely read this before.
I told you we'd read this one. Or are you saying did they repost it?
I think it got reposted.
The original one was so
shit. And then the thugs follow her out into an alleyway. She's definitely
and she looks at the motorcycle and is like, "Ooh, I like
she's
that."
Definitely a para. Yeah, no, we've absolutely have read this story before.
Oh my god, we have. The lazy bastard just reposted it.
Okay, let's do in honor of Halo coming out.
Of the closet. I mean, onto PC. What the fuck was that laugh, mate?
Halo, a Song of Ice and Fire crossover.
No! Stop it! No! No! There's only 2 people
Spartan...
on the show tonight. I veto it. Half the people on the show have vetoed it. It's done. It's gone. It's dead. I refuse.
But I am 2/3 of the vote.
No, you're not. What is this fucking Brazilian democracy you have going on here?
But I am the one reading it. A Spartan in Westeros, a Song of Ice and Fire times Halo crossover, end parentheses title.
Here's the problem with that. The chief wins. The end.
When the forward onto dawn lands in the north, it sets the stage for untold repercussions, which will ripple throughout the whole of Westeros. Yeah. With the Civil War.
Oh my god, literally every problem is so... Oh no, the terrible zombies are coming! Fucking nuke them from orbit.
With the Civil War threatening to tear the land apart, and an entirely more dire threat rising beyond the wall, Jon and Cortana take it upon themselves to again protect the whole of mankind from
He has
both
a scorpion!
its own demons and those beyond.
He has multiple scorpion tanks in there.
The forward onto dawn is a ship at the end. Was it the Halo 3 ship? Yeah, that's the Halo 3 ship.
Yeah, it's the ship at the end of Halo 3 that gets split in half by the slip space rupture.
And chucked into a new dimension. Disclaimer, I do not own Game of Thrones or Halo. Yeah, actually, fun fact, you wouldn't be posting it here if you did, you fucking dude. This idea is a crossover that has been festering like a bad case of dysentery inside the bowels of my mind. If only it was lethal before you wrote this.
I thought they were joking. You were joking, rather. But you weren't. Yes, the view count did have.
The view count halved with Sneaky open this. I'm not surprised. The bowels of my mind for about a month or two. I know it's weird, but I do this for the purpose of indulging my imagination and to see everyone's favorite Spartan opening 5 cans of whoop-ass. Be warned, however, as the Master Chief is obviously going to make mincemeat of armies, throw the Game of Thrones completely wabbajack, and generally make every Lannister hint in Westeros brown their trousers when they realize the aforementioned cans of whoop-ass he will open. Why? Because he can. Terrible reason. Anyway, we start our story just before the canonical start of the series of A Song of Ice and Fire.
Once again, people, and I know we've harped on this many times, but I'm going to take the opportunity once again, before you write a crossover, you gotta look, is this going to be any good? When the answer is we're going to take a super soldier from the year 20,000, not 20,000, no, but from the year whatever, forget what year Halo set in, so sue me.
It's actually, with the most recent Halos, it is really the year 20,000.
Well.
Remember the precursors bombed humanity back into the Stone Age?
Yes, they did do that.
Yeah, 343 kind of butchered Halo lore. They went all J.K. Rowling on it.
Yes, I remember reading those books. Anyway, look, the point is, you gotta ask yourself, how easily will this crossover solve all the problems in this universe, followed up with, will that still make any of this an interesting read? In the case of A Song of Ice and Fire, guess what? All the political bullshit is going to be circumvented by the Chief being the strongest motherfucker.
More or less, yeah.
And in addition to that, unlike some of the stronger characters in the world of A Song of Ice and Fire, you can't solve the problem of the Chief by assassinating him. Their poisons aren't going to work on him. Trying to stab him is going to go really, really poorly for whoever tries it.
This is factual statement.
Pretty much the only thing that will be able to kill him is siege equipment and dragons.
There is one they fear.
I was going to say, he's not going to just stand there and let the siege equipment hit him. And for dragons, you have things like scorpion tanks.
Yeah.
Yes, dragons are big and scary, but you know what else is scary? HE rounds.
Oh, this is just cringy. The forward onto Dawn had been adrift in uncharted space for nearly 3 years by Cortana's estimates. Time had little meaning in the darkness of the ship's battered hull. The distress beacon slowly gnawed away at its already waning power supply as they floated through the abyss with no clear destination in sight. All the while, Chief was silent, slumbering in the coffin of ice and stasis, leaving Cortana
Well, no, Isley, what I mean
thoughts.
is, technically, siege equipment has the ability to kill him, if you hit him enough with it. But you would require multiple hits.
Yeah.
And you're going to be lucky if you get one on him. Like, out of 100.
Blah blah blah. Leaving Cortana alone to her thoughts, but with all the summed knowledge of humanity to occupy her time. Until fate, chance, parentheses, lack of luck, and parentheses, some combination thereof, or something else entirely changed that. Oh boy, you really love those fucking commas, don't you? Like a ripple. What?
Look, this is not worth trying to figure out, Sneaky. Just move on.
Like a ripple breaking the surface of a long, still pond, the monotone was broken. Wow, best metaphor. Can we get some like streamers coming from the top of the screen and some clapping sounds? We're gonna get a soundboard.
Well,
for
I
this.
don't know. You're the one in charge of that.
I just said I'm gonna have to get a soundboard for this. The
What
best
say?
metaphor
After
like
things like paying rent and loans, soundboard's next on the list.
like the breaking of a monotone thing. The monotone thing was broken. Just that was the best metaphor I've ever seen.
Are you sure it wasn't a simile?
I don't even know at this point. Similes, metaphors.
Similes, metaphors, random acts of God, who knows?
I mean, they're basically the same thing, but the difference between a metaphor and a simile is using like or something like that.
Yeah, Sneaky, I'm aware.
Dude, it's been.
Unlike most of these idiots, I am aware of the difference between a simile and a metaphor.
The Halo ships are pretty big, right? Wouldn't a ship crashing into a planet devastate vast tracts of a given country it crashed into? They're a fair, decent size. I would say a frigate.
I mean, they're decent size, but the Forward Unto Dawn. Hold
Hmm.
on, let me. No, I
That
didn't
was a
want
frigate,
the movie.
wasn't it? It wasn't that big of a ship, all things considered.
Let's see, the Forward Unto Dawn. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-da. Yeah, it was a frigate. Yeah, it was 490 meters by 155 meters.
Yeah, it's like what, 4 football fields?
Give or take. But remember, you have to have that. Because it's only
true.
the back half of the Forward Unto Dawn.
Right. Anyway. Yes, it would cause a fair amount of devastation in any area it hit. That's why it hits the north and kills all those, natives. Let's see. Blah, 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 blah. The ship was being pulled into the gravitational field of a planet. The smart AI could have tried to change the wreck's course earlier, perhaps avoiding the pull altogether, but that was just the problem. The ship was a wreck. Even if she could revert the power supply to fuel the rear thrusters, Cortana knew that even to fire up the engines could drain the last reserves of power they had, silencing their distress beacon and leaving them adrift in the darkness of space. By all accounts, the planet itself seemed hospitable enough. The cloud formations, vast bodies of water, 3 visible land masses from the ship's vantage point. Honestly, it looked a lot like Earth, except for the formations of said continents. Sadly, no time for sightseeing, Cortana sighed. From what I guess, this will be one of those close encounters.
But yeah, so, again, assuming the ship was split exactly in half, which it wasn't, it would only be 245 meters on impact. And it was really split closer to, I think it was split closer to the back third and the front 2/3. But
and also, it's only going to be descending at the speed of gravity, which, understandably, is still relativistically fast. But
it's still quite fast, but it's not going to be causing.
It's not like an
damage.
asteroid that's been slingshotted around the gravity of a sun heading straight for the planet, sort of speed. It's not.
I was gonna say, even if it, first of all, because of how spread out humanity is at this point, the odds of them hitting a city are pretty small.
Now, the odds of them triggering a fault line is decent if it hits in the wrong spot, but of course the author's not going to, even bother with that further.
But here's the thing: even if they hit near a frickin' fault line, like, it's still not going that. Like, they're not going to cause.
Oh yeah, no, it's not going to be
cause.
Like mass extinction. No, of course. All right. Anyway. And while the pull of the planet's mass was slow at first, momentum was building. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that.
What?
Basically, they're implying that the ship was not heading directly towards the planet in the first place, and that the planet somehow captured a ship of that weight's gravity in its gravity field and slowly pulled it into a spiraling descent. You know, where it wraps around the planet multiple times, continuously building up momentum. Um, the only situation I could see of the Forward on Dawn landing on the planet would be if the Forward on the Dawn was already drifting at the planet.
I
Or
mean, that's not, as far as Halo goes, it's not that we, like, that's how Halo 4 happens.
yeah, I know, but what I'm saying is that the author is having the ship build up a lot more momentum than just falling by gravity. And I realize that's what Halo 4 did, but Halo 4 is also ass.
I'm not
So
saying it isn't. Just saying, like,
someone clearly doesn't know how orbital mechanics work. I don't know if you're talking about me or the author, because it could be either, honestly. It's been a while since I've taken physics.
I was gonna say, I've reached the point in life where everything I know about orbital mechanics comes from Gundam, and I know that that needs to be taken with a hefty grain of salt.
But no, the main problem I have with shit like with using Halo 4 as an example for fucking anything is that one moment where he takes a K-bar and stabs a goddamn troop transport with it, which then proceeds to travel through slip space on its own.
Yeah.
And it's just like, none of these things should have been able to happen.
Yeah.
I've played 100 hours of Kerbal Space Program. I know what physics are.
Chat is lamenting, or at least the Discord chat is lamenting, that nothing's ever going to be as good as last Friday.
What was last? No, last Friday was the yes, that story. What the hell's going on? Why do we have so many people in our Discord chat just faffing about and not in our?
Who cares?
I
We have an
care.
active community.
The Red Wedding happens, and the old gods are getting worried about what happens. There is no choice. Rob must return. Oh, jeez. Of sex slaves and soulmates, how would Harry's life be different if he had a long list of soulmates and Aurora Bones as his kinky sex slave? Harry times Hermione, Amy, Luna, Susan, Daphne, Tracy, Ginny, Marietta. Who the fuck is that? Cho, Katie, Angela, Alika, Hannah, Romilda Vane, Padma, Parvati, and Lavender. Chapters 3, words 5,000. Boy.
You sound upset.
I am upset. Fucking piece of shit nose hair. Get your.
Now, it's not Nosehair's fault he was dropped on his head as a child.
It was time to wake up. Arya had managed to smile. Look, it's been literally years since I've read Ice and Fire, and I just never bothered watching the TV series.
I never bothered watching the TV show because I was just like, look, this isn't going to tell me anything I don't already know. the ending, now that they're actually ahead of the books, is going to be completely non-canon.
They're gonna open up a portal to World War II Germany.
That was a perfectly fine story. It was a perfectly fine adaptation.
Arya had managed to smuggle herself and a decent horse out of the castle without a hitch. It had been close and only possible because she caught Harwin doing something he wasn't supposed to be doing, and had been all too eager to allow her to run off in exchange for her silence. It was actually funny how he was so flustered over some pretty little woman from the winter town, but Arya didn't care as long as she got her little moment of adventure. She wandered off after Sansa and Jenny Poole had been taken particularly nasty to her during another of Septa Mordane's dreadful sewing lessons, and was all too happy to distract herself, her mother's inevitable scolding to be damned. She wasn't a lady and wasn't going to let any of them make her try to be one. She'd ride, wear boys' cloths, and get dirty as much as she well pleased. Sadly, it wasn't to last. Of course, you are only a lady, I'm going to be assuming, when it comes time to actually fight and die for your country. Just, taking an observation or two. Sadly, it wasn't to last, because it seemed she had someone in pursuit. Jon was riding fast behind her, Jon Snow was riding fast behind her, covering the ground more quickly.
Alright, I'm back. Thanks for vamping.
I've just been reading.
I know, it's perfect. Isley, did you answer Isley's thing about World War II Germany?
Oh, yeah, so, Full Metal Alchemist, the original series, ended with the Elric brothers ending up in World War II Germany, through a portal, because reasons. Mostly due to the fact that the anime adaptation of the manga got ahead of the manga at the time it was being produced, and so they went on their own completely sci-fi original plot line from there on out. And the series ended with World War II Germany and Adolf Hitler completing the Gate to Truth project.
I don't remember Hitler being involved in that. They just ended
Oh
up
no,
in World War II.
Hitler was involved in it.
Okay, unless we watched drastically different endings, I do not remember that in the slightest.
I wish I could, forget it. Yeah, and then they came out with Brotherhood, and it was just all around better in every single way.
Well, no. Brotherhood was not dramatically better. The only thing that was better about Brotherhood was the ending.
And the animation.
No, the anime... Sneaky, there's almost no difference in quality.
You just keep telling yourself that.
Sneaky, I've watched them both. It's the same animation studio with the same animation team with the same voice actors.
Blah 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 blah. Wicked smile broadening across her face, Arya turned her horse to gallop, hopping to. Hoping?
Hoping? Haping? Why are we looking this up? Yes.
Okay.
Hoping is weird.
I just wanted to make sure. Boom. Hoping to outride her favorite brother. For several minutes she did, until it became clear Jon had both the better skill of riding as well as the sturdier horse. She puffed her cheeks as she slowed her poor wheezing horse to a low trot, frustrated she had been caught so quickly. Once he caught up to her, she could see Jon had a quizzical look on his face. Aren't you supposed to be sewing with the septa? To that, Ira lowered her gaze, finding her saddle to be quite interesting. It's boring there, and everyone knows I stink at being a lady. John only smiled. Right you are, little wolf. He laughed, reaching out his hand to ruffle her hair. One of the Starks of Winterfell. She
And you
laughed.
see, this is why you train people how to stab other people. So that when it's like, oh, they're not very good at needlepoint. Oh, it turns out they're pretty good at stabbing other people, though. We can use that.
I see, like I said, it's been literally a decade for me. So you're going to have to be the one that pipes up if anything's going wonky.
Look, it's been a real long time since I read them too. High school, so it's been like 8 years now, give or take, since I started reading the first one. So don't expect great things from me on this one.
Oh, I will absolutely expect amazing things from you.
Now you sound like my parents. Hope you're ready to be
Um,
disappointed.
oh, I'm always ready to be disappointed by you.
Did you just listen to what my parents say? Is that what's going on here?
Is that what they say to you as well?
I mean, that's mostly because my father is a wonderfully sarcastic ass, and I love him for it. But
Y'all are old. Fuck off, CA.
we just tend not to care about things that are terrible and poorly written and overhyped.
Blah 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 blah. No, I'm not a snark, I'm a snow, nothing more. But why? You look more like father. It's because I'm a bastard. I know nothing. John, can't you hear that? Can't you hear what? Ah, it's a roaring sound. We should head back. Is there a storm coming? No. Winter may be coming.
Also, I want to point out, and people smarter than me have also pointed this out, but the whole we have multiple years of winter and summer would have killed humanity very quickly.
Um, yeah, more or less. I mean, the multiple years
Sneaky,
of
because the
summer.
issue is it's not consistent.
Well, no, the thing is that multiple years of summer is just fine, as long as you remember to make sure you have at least your crop areas follow for at least some period of time, or as long as you're doing crop rotation. But the multiple period, the extended winters, um, yeah, pretty much we can only inhabit certain areas of the globe with winters like that.
Well,
Because of we
and
bring in
Sneaky,
outside
more
resources.
importantly, because it's variable, you might have 10 years of summer, but then if you have 20 years of winter, well, it's impossible to stockpile enough food for that.
Yeah, that's true as well.
Specifically with the level of preservation techniques that they would possess at that time.
Well, I mean, not only that is I was also gonna say that like I say like in Alaska, it's a big problem actually. Is winter periods can get brutal there, and sometimes in some areas you won't see the sun for 40 days,
Yeah,
and
that drives people insane.
yeah,
Literally.
people literally kill themselves by like the bucket, and it's if you're gonna say that there's a winter period for years, I just don't see it happening.
I would say, and some people were like, "Oh, but they have magic." Most of them don't.
It,
No, Isley,
I've seen a
I
couple
see what you've said
theories.
in the chat, and that is disturbing heresy, which shall not be uttered again.
This shit is educational. Yes, we're discussing story creation, plot holes. This was actually Twitch recommended tags, by the way.
That's true. It was.
But anyway, so because you requested such education to be bestowed upon you, I've seen some theories in where people are postulating that Song of Ice and Fire is actually a high magic story that is disguising itself as low magic, and where the gods are hoarding their magic.
Oh no, Sneaky, it basically has to be high magic. Because first of all, remember, in the later books, you have multiple people getting resurrected.
Yeah, I know, and yeah, and then you have the whole dragon thing, and you have the Shadowland. Yeah, I know, but it's
Like, here's the thing.
posing
Once
as a
you
low magic world.
yes, but again, here's the thing, right? Once you bring actual literal resurrections in, that's it.
Yeah,
You cannot be low magic anymore.
that's fair enough. Well, what about Lord of the Rings?
But here's the thing. Lord of the Rings never pretended to be low magic. It's absolutely high magic. It's just most people don't have access to.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
And the only person who came back was in fact a literal angel, literally sent back by God.
Okay, that's fair. But yeah, no, there is quite a number of problems with the Song of Ice and Fire. Right, let's see. The winter might be coming. She fixed her gaze upwards by the old gods, and they're looking up in the sky, and the star itself is falling to the ground, and it blah blah blah. It's big and huge. We can at least take comfort. This won't be our first emergency landing. She data crystals put inside the Spartan armor. Didn't you go through this before? Admittedly, John replied dryly. I only had a flimsy piece of metal, not half a ship. Well then, this shouldn't be a problem for you. We got less
In
than a
fact,
minute
here's the thing,
before we
right?
hit
She
ground
woke him
level.
up. She actually should have just left him asleep for the landing because those cryopods are fucking invincible.
They really are. I mean, they're supposed
As
to be.
evidenced by the survival of was it Linda? Or no, it was Kelly. It was Kelly who
Kelly.
was on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it was Kelly who was on the Pillar of Autumn,
Yep.
which her cryopod survived being on the Pillar of Autumn while it was shot to hell,
Yep.
crashing onto the Halo,
Yep.
being infested by the Flood, which I would like to point out the Flood never got in.
Sure.
And then it survived the the pillar exploding, subsequently followed by the Halo exploding.
All factual statements.
Like, fuck, you could put Joker in one of those and he'd never break another bone.
We got a less than a minute before we hit ground level, and we can't use the escape pods. We'll make it, he assured her in a simple yet sincere confidence. I know I've said this before, but I sure know how to pick 'em. Oh boy, I'm so glad the author is just retreading dialogue.
Uh-huh.
If she had a mouth, Cortana would have smiled at that moment. Even with the ship's hull burning as it ripped through the sky, even as the ground came upon them closer and closer, she could take comfort in this one man's presence. It was just kind of man John was. On that day, when the wreckage of the Forward Unto Dawn landed in the north, midway between Torhen Square and Winterfell, it was like a mountain crashing into the sea. For though the earth shaking when the colossal mass of metal impacted the land could be felt and heard for miles around, it would pale in comparison to the waves that which would ripple throughout Westeros in the coming months and years. For on that day, Earth's mightiest heroes. Oh, sorry. The mightiest hero Westeros would ever know.
I was about to say, are we going to do an
Arrived.
Avengers crossover? Because that is going to go even worse than the Chief.
And this stranger from another world would make their realm tremble before him. If I had a gun for every shitty line on a fanfiction, well, if you had a gun for every shitty line in fanfiction, you'd be like an American.
Funny.
Thank you. Thank you.
Harry
Alright,
Potter and his Sphinx. What the fuck?
Nani, what the hell have I missed here?
In the Fic 9K.
A Potter inheritance. Oh god, I found something I shouldn't have. It's not safe for work.
So we can't read it, but...
This is something I came up with as I often write out of the box regarding fanfiction. This is the worst summary ever I've seen. If you want to write a more
No, to
fleshed
be
out
fair,
story,
Sneaky, we literally just saw one that was, oh, a Death Knight arrives in Brockton Bay.
okay, yes, but the thing though is that's more descriptive than what this story says. This story's summary is, hey guys, I sometimes write out of the box stories. If you want to see more of this, you can write it instead. You see how that's even less descriptive than a DK in Brockton Bay?
Yeah, yes.
And supposedly it looks like a 1,000 word story in which Harry Potter has sex with a sphinx. Just put it in the degenerate corner. So, the rise of Cyrodiil.
Oh, thank God we're stopping.
Get out of bed. New Dota Plus features have been updated. I'll check those out afterwards. The Rise of Cyrodiil, a Harry Potter Elder Scrolls crossover. It is said that as long as Alicia's heirs bear the Amulet of Kings, then Tamriel shall be protected from oblivion and the Empire will be prosperous. But when the amulet has been shattered, then an internal barrier has been placed between Mundus and oblivion. But even as an emperor sits on it, the ruby throne waits for its true heirs to return.
So here's the thing. You said Mundus because I wasn't paying attention because I was looking at chat. All I heard was Mundus, and for a second I was super hyped because I thought we were getting a DMC crossover.
Ha, no, fuck DMC.
What is your problem with DMC?
Skyrim time... no, it's just a problem I have with all Japanese games, in where their timelines are absolutely fucked. All of them.
The timeline for Devil May Cry is actually fairly followable. Like, the games are produced out of order, but they've put out a very clear timeline.
Okay,
It goes DMC... It goes DMC 3.
Oh, look, I don't care how followable it is. My point remains in that it is absolutely still convoluted, in that they didn't release them in order. And as far as I can remember, the only Western series to do that, again, as far as I can remember, the only Western series to do that was Halo Reach. And that was one time with one game.
I mean, I'm sure there are other Western games. I don't know off the top of my head. But bear in mind, part of that is because when the first Devil May Cry came out, it was originally supposed to be Resident Evil 4. So they made this really awesome game, which is, for the record, where Resident Evil was going. So Resident Evil 4 is tame in comparison to Devil May Cry. And they're like, crap, we kind of got to slap a story on this. And then Devil May Cry took the fuck off, and they're like, oh, we need to make more of these. So it's not like they chose to release them out of order. They were like, oh, we've stumbled on a gold mine. We should continue to dig.
Anyway, Skyrim timeline, pre-Goblet of Fire, AU. Oh boy. Chapter 1 by Tamriel Grant the Noble King Passage. Cadfield House, Cadfield, Scotland, Cadfield, United Kingdom. Built on a rather isolated and secure location was the old Prodigy House, which served as the official residence of the Earls of Cadfield. Currently owned by His Lordship Fleemont Potter, the Earl of Cadfield, this rather extravagant building housed not only the Earl, but also one of his two grandsons, who was curiously his favored one, Harry Potter, his legal name being Henry. Of course. So instead of calling him Henry, we call him Harry, because of reasons.
Yes, that makes total sense.
After his great-grandfather, which was a rather strange mixture of his paternal grandparents. What? He possessed the mental capacity, skills, and some traits of his late grandmother, Euphema, but also the wish for battle that Fleemont once possessed during his youth. Oh boy, so not only are we doing a massive Harry Potter AU, and I mean like massive Harry Potter AU, I'm talking about like literally the Potter family is still alive when Harry Potter is old enough to have a developing personality that is separate from the parents. So around 8 or so.
Yes.
6 to 8. Depending on the development. But, as I was saying, I hate massive AUs. I honestly really do not like massive AUs.
Okay, see, here's the thing, right? You need to be specific about that, because by that logic...
Massive AU crossovers, but...
Yes, okay, that's fair. But again, that could apply to something like the Warhammer Mass Effect one that we've been reading, which is a massive AU.
I suppose, yes.
That's the thing. You don't dislike massive AU in and of themselves. The problem is, the bigger you make your AU, and the bigger you make your crossover, the more likely it is that characters will either be changed without explanation and therefore feel out of character and wrong. The author will either not have a plan or not execute the plan well, thus making the story feel lost and meandering and poor, or the author will just be incapable of handling it correctly, and thus the story will suck.
This is fair enough. Also, these walls of text.
Yes.
But it's just a little bit frustrating because I mean, like you do have those like, but you can't really say the what the hell is it? What was that story even called? The DACA Orc Humans Mass Effect story.
I don't...
Shit,
Hold
silly
on,
but
I
killy.
think... Yes, and I'm so mad that it stopped updating.
Yeah, it's really sad that it happened. But as I'm saying, like, silly but killy has the basic premise, a basic AU premise. And yes, while it is a large change, it's a simple change. All humans are now orcs. Everyone acts like they would act as if they were orcs.
And it's beautiful.
And it's great. But the thing there, though, is that is it's hard to quantify, but I feel like that's a basic change that has a larger effect.
Well, here's the problem, right? Here's the thing. They changed one thing, and they sat down, at least from what I can tell, it looks like they sat down and then said, okay, here are all of the butterfly effects that will occur from this. Right. Now, in the case of all humans are now 40k orcs, that's a relatively easy pattern to follow.
Yes. But this is why I hate the AUs that get nitty gritty in their changes, like the massive AUs, as I'm going to be calling them, where it's a shitload of changes. Oh, the grandparents are actually alive. Oh, they're actually Earls. Oh, Harry Potter's got a family. Oh, Harry Potter's grown up with his family. All these massive changes to the point where it's basically not a Harry Potter story anymore, besides the magic system and the names. Because as much as I hate the canon of some stories, especially stories like Mockingbird and Harry Potter and shit like that, it is the canon. This is how events go. This is how the characters act. And if you basically change every character's personality, and you change all of the plot, and pretty much the only thing that's the same is the main character is still called Harry, but his name's actually Henry.
But no, trust me, it's Harry.
And you like the plot's completely different. You're not even gonna pay attention to the original plot. Doesn't exist. The personality of the characters completely different. The setting completely different. Like it's basically its own fucking story at this point, except it still uses the Harry Potter magic system, and all of the characters are still named after the Harry Potter characters.
Right. Well,
And
here's the problem with that. Um, there have been plenty of stories where we enjoyed them, even though personalities were radically different. Like the one where Harry Potter gets sent off to be an inquisitorial fucking space marine.
but again, the difference there though is that it's a small change with effects to it. Harry Potter at a
But
young age ends up in 40K, comes back 200 years later, but only like a month or so later, or whatever the fuck it was.
right, but here's the problem with that.
And here's the butterfly.
I understand what you're saying when you say it's a small change, but it really isn't that small of a change.
Okay, but you're not thinking about you're thinking about what you're in terms of what it's changing. It's a small change. It is a big change in terms of the difference between the original and the end product, but it is a small change.
Yes.
It's like Harry, like it's not like a story in which Harry Potter ends up warped out of existence and ends up in the 40K verse for 300 years serving as a inquisitor space marine, and then ends up getting warped back into the Harry Potter verse. But actually all the Potters are still alive. Snape has a wife and 7 kids. Dumbledore is dead. Grindelwald's teaching at Hogwarts. Voldemort never existed. And, Tom, whatever the fuck is it? What was his last name? Tom Riddle is the new next Minister of Magic.
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. Inquisitor Caro is pretty good because it's a small change that then said, okay, what happens from here? The the problem is it's when you start making shit tons of changes, when you're like, these people are alive, these people are dead, this plot never happened, this plot did happen, these characters are completely different, these characters are completely different, everyone acts differently than canon. It's basically my own original knockoff of Harry Potter crossing over with Skyrim at this point. You know, like it's not Harry Potter from the series Harry Potter poofing into Skyrim and then having to deal with suddenly being the Dragonborn and the heir to an empire when he was previously an abused child that lived under the stairwell.
Yes.
But anyway, let's continue and see how self-inserty this Harry Potter meat puppet is. So Harry was super smart and skilled and intelligent, but also super violent. And it was a shame Harry was not the older twin, Michael, his older brother, possessing all of the same abilities as normal wizard child. Yet he did not possess the strange personality of the young twin. But this was not what disturbed Philemon. What disturbed him was the calm that Harry possessed, which would shatter when the teen entered combat, turning him into a psychotic brute.
Oh, good, one of those. He's a psychotic animal in battle.
Oh, Harry is killing all these people because he's insane. But
why are you letting your 15-year-old, you know?
Yeah, I don't know. But on top of that, my favorite part about all this is it's just like, oh, Harry's insane. That's why he's killing all the people in Skyrim. Also, that's why he acts completely normal, because he's only pretending to be not sane. It's like, what? It's people who try to set up a character that is both extremely brutal in combat and allowing them to kill anyone they want and change anything they want without having people being like, oh, that's not what the character would do. But at the same time, also having the character be completely normal in anything else that requires them to be completely normal in. Because they
Which,
don't
here's the
want
thing,
to have
right?
to write a psychotic character in X situation. They just want to write normal Harry Potter in X situation, but he's only psychotic when combat happens, so that way we can have Harry kill people.
Like, here's the thing. You don't have to make the main character a freaking psychopath to make them good at combat. I know. It's a damn shocker.
But the fact that he sometimes secretly caught Harry in hidden areas of the manor with fire, electricity, or ice flowing from his hands at will.
Oh, so he's just gonna have... Okay. He's just gonna have Skyrim magic for
And
no reason.
sometimes it was purple, blue, golden, or green light. Okay, so I am mild in my Elder Scrolls lore buff. And I've talked about this before, but I'm going to say it again because I don't know how many people cared or listened or remembered. The magic in Elder Scrolls is derived from the literal holes in reality that we refer to as the sun and stars. But in Elder Scrolls are literal holes in reality leaking the God realm into Mundus, which then can be manipulated using the willpower of the individual. And the Magicka bar is how much Magicka or ethereal matter the body can withstand manipulating and or storing. It is not a magic system in which people can just be like, skadoodle, skadoodle, I can now cast frost bolts.
Not how that works.
Not how that works. It is actually, which is why I really like the Oblivion and Morrowind systems more than Skyrim systems, because the Skyrim system really dumbed it down, but I understand why they dumbed it down. But the Oblivion Morrowind systems were a lot more true to factor in that, and why they're always called the College of Blank and the University of Magic, and because you actually had to sit there and study physics and the elements and shit to learn how to cast ice, to learn how to shoot fire, to learn how to control the electricity. You actually had to learn about the fucking elements and how they react to the world. Have we read Duel? Duel. What if Draco challenged Harry to a duel at the beginning of the first year and had a lot more significance? Oh boy, that sounds stupid as hell. We'll get to it after I get done ranting about this garbage. Alright, so as I was saying, it's actually massively different. It's why you don't see people running around with if learning a healing spell was so fucking easy as just reading a book and knowing healing now, wouldn't everyone fucking do it? No. Even in Skyrim, with how they have the system set up at this point, even then, the only person that canonically knows the healing spell in the entire fucking cities and almost all of the holds are the priests who dedicate themselves to the study of healing.
Yeah.
The first chapter is not spicy enough, but it's something. Okay, we'll get to it. Anyway, so Harry is super smart and psychotic, and he has access to powers he literally should not be able to have access, and the grandfather's never spoken to him about this, and Harry inherited hidden abilities from someone, and blah blah blah. He succeeded in convincing James and Lily to give Harry to him because reasons, and Harry would have to live under the shadow of his own brother, who was idolized by the Wizarding world with the defeat of Voldemort. So he's I'm assuming the wrong boy who lived as well. His rhetoric worked, and they. Oh yeah, by the way, James and Lily are alive too. Boy Who Lived event still happened, and it was his older brother that it happened to, but James and Lily are also still alive because reasons. From the sides, he saw how James and Lily raised Michael, and he was super arrogant, and he loved being worshipped, but Harry did not care if the boy who lived, blah blah blah, adventures, companions. The Pettigrew reappeared, and everyone was scared. Dumbledore's suggestion, the former Marauder had gone in search for his current master. James had increased training with Michael, and Fleeman had done the same with Harry, but unlike James, the Earl of Calfield instructed Harry on how to use a sword in duels and war, and generations losing this habit of using swords.
Yes, because...
No shit. Oh wow, I have this handy magical gun here that doesn't run out of bullets and can shoot HE rounds. Or I can swing my sword at them.
So I can use the superpower known as gun. Or, hear me out, I can swing a hunk of iron. Is it magic? No, it's just iron.
And blah blah. In public, Harry was quiet and shy, but in private, he was always super aggressive. Fleeman could not believe his eyes when his ward completely destroyed an enchanted armor and skeleton with his sword and wand because Harry was so amazingly good at sword and wand combat. And so he finally decided to do a blood test on his grandson. And so he gave Harry a dagger and a parchment. Oh, what am I supposed to do with this? Cut myself? Yes. Oh, okay.
Oh
Well,
boy, we have another magic fucking blood test, boys.
more inheritance tests to prove the entire line of the Potters who sucked their dick and what. Alright, now smear your blood all over the parchment.
Remember the time the Potters were literally everybody?
Yeah, remember the time the Potters literally were related to every single ruler in existence?
And remember the time it was just a list? A giant list that we just read? That was the show? God, that was terrible.
That was awful. Alright, so smear your blood on the parchment, and he took the dagger and he made a small cut on his hand. Wow, so the author at least is intelligent not to have Harry just chop his hand open. He put the blood on the parchment, and he removed his hand from the
Have the
parchment.
wizards never heard of a fucking hypodermic needle?
Yes. They have not. As Fleeman quickly healed the cut on Harry's hand, Harry looked at the blood on the parchment that was now disappearing, and now the blood was turning into letters, and blah blah blah, parents, gender, species.
And you know what the letters said? You're gay, Harry.
Harry! You're a faggot.
Okay, Sneaky, thank you for getting us banned. See, if I knew you watched Dragon Ball, I could try to pass it off as you making a Dragon Ball Z abridged joke, but
I mean, I did watch Dragon Ball Z abridged, like... When was high school?
you idiot.
8 years ago?
Your chat's just gonna call you an old man again.
Not that old.
Yeah, go shake your old man stick somewhere else.
Anyway, blah blah blah, words, blah blah. He was an heir to nothing and had no titles. Blah blah, Potter and not. Yes, he was a member of the Rahman dynasty on his mother's side. He looked at his grandfather in confusion. What is this? It's an invention of the Confederation of Wizards and the Goblin Conglomeration. Well, I mean, that's a little bit better than nation, I suppose. Replied the man, it literally searches in your blood for your ancestors' history. But also collects the information that your respective country's ministry has about you. How does it do that?
Okay, so what we have here is the friggin' Animus.
Yes. We have the magical parchment Animus that only requires you to stab yourself. Harry accepted the explanation, and the two looked at the results. Everything was normal except for the Rahman dynasty, which was a surprise. The name sounded familiar to Fleeman. I'd never heard of the Rahman dynasty. Is it in the Muggle world? Not that I know of. The name's definitely familiar. And they went off to go searching in the library for the name Rahman. As he and Fleeman read it, they found it, and then they, blah blah, location, coast of Scotland, abandoned Fort Rahman, who had been built by the orders of a man named Julius Cyrodiil, who had claimed to be the son of Rahman Cyrodiil and a woman Tavia. The man had a child, but was eventually struck by the arrow and killed him. According to the writer, Julius was buried inside the fort along with his descendants. The book gave a possible location somewhere near Millard Point, Ryan's Galloway, blah blah blah. Do you want to go find it? Sure, let's go find it.
You know
Fort
what? At least they're having a history book here. At least, I'm not saying this isn't dumb. It's less dumb than most of the stuff.
That's fair.
Like, they're like, some dude built a fucking castle in the middle of bumfuck nowhere. Well, guess what? That happened. Because someone was trying to set themselves up as important. They weren't, like, impressive stone castles. They were usually little wooden pieces of shit. Because even little wooden pieces of shit were expensive.
Yes.
But still.
But anyway, Fort Ramon, Scotland, UK. Just a reminder, you're here forever, Scotland. There was indeed a fort on the coast, and it was in ruins, and it was crumpled, and there was skeletons, broken weapons. The gate was intact, and he examined the skeleton. Strange. Fleeman showed Harry the intact sword, which was made of a green material with a pale emerald color. The blade was cracked, and the hilt was made of gold. This sword is unique to everything I've seen. I can't even recognize the material, except for the hilt, which was likely mail of gold. The very design is not native to the culture of Britain. And they had never seen weapons like these, and this was fascinating.
The
because
culture of Britain.
Yes.
Yikes, somebody's getting taken in by the mob.
The two Potters had never seen weapons like these, and Norman invasion, and blah blah blah. Skeletons loitering around here. There's arrows. Lack of burial means everyone died. Who are they fighting? It was mercenaries,
Hold on,
maybe?
what do you mean
Nope.
skeletons? I'm sorry. I want a picture of a skeleton in, like, a greaser jacket. Like, I want a maliciously loitering skeleton. Get on that. You know what? Find me an artist. I will pay to commission a maliciously loitering skeleton.
Alright, so what do you want me to draw? I want you to draw what your image in your mind of a maliciously loitering skeleton. If I had the money, I would genuinely go to like 5 different artists and give them the exact same description of, I want you to draw your interpretation of a maliciously loitering skeleton, and I want to see what all of them come up with.
Oh, yeah, no, and then when it comes out, you tweet all 5 of them, and you're like, okay, so listen, I hired 5 of you. Originally, this was a contest to see who was going to do the art for my game, but I adore all of your ideas, so listen, you're in charge now of the art for the game about maliciously loitering skeletons.
We call them greasers because they put grease in between their bones.
No, they use grease to make their bones shiny. Look, it's closer to what actual greasers did than they put grease between their bones, man.
Well, I mean, you don't want bones scraping together, and all the cartilage is gone now.
Oh man, I gotta oil my elbow.
You gotta lubricate them joints.
Sneaky, a D&D adventure where there are skeletons. They keep consistently stealing the villagers' livestock because they need to get, like, milk and cheese to use for lubricants because they ran out of oil.
Cheese-based lubricant.
Yes, a cheese-based lubricant. That's how desperate they are.
I could just imagine the encounter now. Not with cheese-based lubricants, but just imagine the encounter now. You know, you're a level 1, level 2-ish party. You're creeping through this cave, and you just hear... And the skeletons just start coming out between all the crevices, snapping their fingers, approaching you.
Oh, that'd be fabulous. No, Isley clearly hasn't been paying any attention.
Yep, no, Isley completely has lost the plot.
No, oh, Sneaky, it could be great because, like, imagine, like, they get sent on a quest by the local church to get rid of skeletons that are harassing villagers, and you get out there, and it's like, listen, they're like, no, look, we actually kind of feel bad for the skeletons. Instead of killing them, could you, like, just try to find a way to help them?
Hey, you skeletons, quit loitering outside my store!
I told you, I don't have any oil left. Now get away from my storefront. You're scaring away the children.
Takes out broom. Get!
This is speciesist.
Yeah,
you come back to the
obviously,
church.
2 skeleton gangs, the Rattlers and the Clackers.
Of course. You come back and the church is like, ah, how did the skeleton extermination go? Okay, so we didn't exterminate them. I see. They were too powerful for you. We shall send some clerics to cleanse them. No, 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 no. Don't do that. We help them set up a city.
They set up a town. What? Yeah.
They've actually become a staple of the local economy. All the leftover grease and fat from the villagers' meat products are bought by the skeletons.
They put on a play every Wednesday.
And in return, they help work the fields. Do you know how much food you can grow when your workers are never tired and they don't have to eat half of what they grow?
Anyway. So, Fleeman opened his bag and placed inside the sword and arrows, and they were looking at all the stuff and looting it all, because that's what you do.
I would say, we would apologize for the tangent, except that was way more fun for us than reading this
Oh,
dumb
that was
story.
absolutely far more enjoyable for everyone. As he looked downwards, he saw stones, probably from the tower, blah blah. What was this strange sensation? Oh, let's go inside. Blah blah blah. Lomora casting the wand lighting charm. Can't you just say Lumos? Just say Lumos. While Harry was blah blah blah, semi-empty corridors filled with skeletons and battles and broken chests and blah blah blah. Blah blah, battles here and battles and battles here and battles and stuff and battles. Interesting. What is it? See this opening in the wall? Those bones inside this opening. We seem to have entered the catacombs. And blah blah blah, labyrinth, and then they're trekking through the fort, which, by the way, is probably that is the bar none dumbest full fort plan I've ever heard. You have your entranceway, and then you're following this tunnel in the entranceway for a while, and then you're in the catacombs, and then you're in the main hall. Like you have to go through the catacombs, which is also a labyrinth, to get to the main hall. How big is this fort? What is it made out of? It's stone. It's a giant stone fort that has a labyrinth inside it.
I'm sorry, so did the author actually say stone?
Yes.
Okay, so now we have a stone fort in the middle of nowhere, which I will give Skyrim credit for this. It did a significantly better job than previous Elder Scrolls games of not having like giant stone buildings, except for like hidden, explicitly hidden temples in the middle of fuck all nowhere.
In Oblivion, the giant stone temples, the Iliad buildings, like those were there like since the year
No, I
zero.
mean they didn't have like castles in the middle of nowhere for no like most castles and forts and watchtowers were situated by main roads or mountain passes.
No, I hear you. Yeah.
As opposed to, because you got to admit, sometimes you'd be in Oblivion and you would just be in the middle of nowhere, and it's like Fort Drizzlebomb, and you're like, why am I? There are no roads. I am in the middle of the forest.
No, I hear you. I hear you. It can get dumb. Yeah, I will give.
I was gonna say, which unfortunately this author doesn't seem to have grasped, because again, just making a castle out of wood was horrendously expensive. Making a castle out of stone?
I mean, I guess we're assuming that they used magic, and that's what everyone else is assuming. That everyone used magic here to make this castle, because...
Right, but even using magic is still horrendously expensive. Because here's the thing. They can't just make stone from nothing.
No, I understand, yeah. No, I get you. It's just...
Like, if nothing else, you still have to pay workers to transport some material there for you to turn into stone. And because it's not pre-cut stone blocks, you can't assemble it. So even once you turn it into stone, if you don't turn it into pre-cut stone blocks, you either then have to pay someone to cut those stone blocks, which is where the largest expense would come from, and then you have to pay people to put those blocks in place, where the second biggest expense will come from. So the only thing they've cut out is transportation costs, which, while significant, were not the biggest problem.
Yeah, but anyway, point being is we're moving on.
Yeah, point being, this is dumb and the author's
blah,
dumb.
blah. Oh, and then the catacombs exited into an underground tunnel, which turned into a labyrinth, which had more catacombs, which then went into a natural cave corridor, which then led into the last section of catacombs, which then led into a sewerway, which then led into the main hall with a single tome in it. And light glowed from it, and there was purple flames around it, and there's strange symbols and dragons carved all over it. Harry knelt so he could read it. Castive Cyrodiil, First Era 2927, First Era 2995, son of Prince Julius Cyrodiil. Clemont, on the other hand, leaned over to the other tome. Julius Cyrodiil, blah blah, son of Emperor Remen Cyrodiil III. Clement was not an expert on history, but he knew that there was no emperors in Muggle and Wizard history called Remen Cyrodiil. Still, though, this at least confirmed his and Harry's suspicions that the young Potter and blah blah blah. Something was confusing them, the dates were weird, blah blah blah. Then they casted levitation charms on the sarcophagi, lifting the lids off and placing them on the ground. There's a skeleton dressed in golden armor and blah blah blah. Gem, amulet. Oh boy. On the neck of Juliek was a strange amulet. Within the center, it was a red gem held together with a golden clasp. It's literally the amulet of kings.
See, here I was just as a joke, they'd be like, Amulet of Debelia.
Yeah. But it's just like the amulet of kings literally can't be there because it was shattered to summon Akatosh. And if you're gonna be like, oh well, you see, Akatosh remade it, which I mean, fair enough, and then gave it to Harry because reasons. Like, Akatosh literally has the power to just be like, boom, you're the Dragonborn now.
In fact, that's how the first one happened. Not even get. You see him? He's the Dragonborn.
Yeah, it's literally just like, yes, it can be passed down through blood. However, it is also in his purview to just be like, boom, sweetie, sweetie, this kid's now the Dragonborn.
And here's the other thing. He can also go, so you're the Dragonborn by blood, but you're not doing your fucking job. So he's also the Dragonborn.
Yes. I mean,
Hop to it.
all it takes is just transplanting a soul of a dragon into a human, and as the god of time, he can kind of do that whenever
he wants to.
Because it's just like, this person, great position. So I'm just gonna I'm gonna go into the past, transplant their soul to be a dragon instead of a human, or whatever species they are, and just let it awaken at this very moment. Sliggity swooty, I have changed the past without changing anything because I'm just that good. Welcome to Akatosh.
Indeed.
Anyway, he felt compelled to grab it. And he took it, and he heard the whispers from the amulet, and he put the amulet around the neck, and the whispers grew louder, and then they stopped, and then he felt the presence around him, and he took the sword and put it in his own bag. Ah, it seems you have a trinket. Yes, it feels right. And then Harry grabbed the book, and modern and early English, which fit with the way it was written. Confused by the fact that the English Juliac used was somehow more similar to modern English than the actual English used in that day. Ha 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 ha. Reference to how the Bethesda writers didn't change their writing styles when writing all the books. Because honestly, I don't fault them for that. There's like 500 something books, like full on books, like complete actual fucking stories. Short stories, admittedly, but full
But
on fucking stories.
I was gonna say, full stories. Like, to then go back and put them into the quote-unquote Old English, which actually has nothing to do with how Old English is, but it's what people think Old English is, and therefore is what now gets written as Old English. Well,
Yeah.
because like turns out like Shakespearean English sneaky
Was
was
unique
a
to
lot
Shakespeare.
closer to normal English today.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but people are like, nah, 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 nah. That's not Old English enough. It's like, what? But fuck you. The real scholars at this point have just given up, and they just secretly sit in their corner, going, "It's not how it really is." They're sad lore nerds, essentially.
Many years, blah 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 blah. May the accurate bastard perish. In any case, anyone that finds this, I will tell you exactly what happened here. The Divines don't have a presence in this world. The Daedra don't have a presence in this world.
You know, for quite a few people in the Elder Scrolls world, hearing the words "the Daedra aren't here" would be like, "Oh my god, I will do anything to get there." Like, think about how many people would be like, "How do I get there? What do I have to do? How many murders? I'll do them."
I must thank the mages. The portal they created was successful. I admit I'm not exactly knowledgeable on how to work portals, but the mages knew what they were doing. Jumping from one godhead to another. Really? Okay. I don't know what a godhead is, but they said that their research has been based off the writings of Vivek and that research made in the Arcane University, but all of this, the true key and the endeavor is the Amulet of Kings. When the aliens created the two Chimel out of ball from the red diamond, not even they knew the two stones would connect. Oh my fuck. They created two Amulet of Kings, and one went missing and found its way eventually back into the hands of the true rulers, which was me. And by using the portal system and the Amulet of Kings, it's possible to create another portal to go back home.
Of course it is.
I wanted to test how my secretly created Amulet of Kings worked, so I gave my father the new amulet and kept the original one for myself. He didn't even know the difference, but unfortunately I was never able to switch the amulets back. Oh boy, so we have the secret twin who secretly created the second Amulet of Kings secretly, that was a divine artifact gifted onto them by Akatosh, and he just copied it.
Hey, Akatosh, I'm gonna just copy your magic real quick. What?
Blah blah blah. Akavari. The activation portal requires another amulet of kings, which in turn requires the Dragonborn. Upon our arrival to this world, we found ourselves in a cavern, blah blah, runes, blah blah blah. The fort where I stand as I write was built on these very runes, constructed on the image of the White Gold Tower, or at least we tried to. Really, the White Gold Tower. That's kind of a big task. In eventual years, my son Gustava, the remnants were to be born in different worlds, Cyrill's a different world, blah blah blah. Even the Eight must be laughing at the versitude shy, for he has failed in his quest, and the Raman bloodline survives, and with us the first amulet of kings. And you see, the second fake amulet of kings was actually the one that was destroyed in the Oblivion. This is the real amulet of kings, because why not?
Oh, but with the other amulet of kings destroyed, too bad. Not going home now.
Oh, but you see, because this is the real one, clearly reasons and then things stuff, and then boom, home.
But I just said I need both to go home.
This was super surreal, and then they came from another universe. I mean, they didn't have to come from another universe. No. By the writings themselves, by the writings known at that time, by themselves, what we, the audience, and Harry Potter, the character, has just read, there is no indication that they came from another universe.
Zero.
None.
Zilch. Nada.
And Fleamount was also stunned, and they were shocked. And then they read more things, and schematics were there, and it was a strange construct. The procedure which we use to construct the portal is heavily based on Aldmeri magic, more specifically the Iliad magic. Hermaeus Mora's Ogma Infinum was useful in this endeavor, for it gave us the knowledge required to complete this ritual. In essence, the portal is of Iliad origin. The section where my resting place shall be was also made with the Iliads in mind. For the entrance to the cave, we fires the amulet alongside the Iliadun. In a fit of inspiration, the words required to reveal the passageway into the portal chamber is... I'm not even trying to pronounce that. It is part of the incantation that some Iliad kings would have to say before they were to acknowledge as the true rulers of their cities. And it is translated as, by blessed Tamriel acknowledge the noble king. However, to activate the portal, one is required to say, by Tamriel grant the noble king passage. And this was also part of the Iliad coronation ritual as well. Why are you exalting the Iliads? They literally enslaved everyone.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh boy, oh boy. And then they're reading the book, and then he says the words, and everything starts glowing, and then they enter the room, and then they activate the portal, and oh man, there's the portal. And then Harry walked near the portal, and he realized something was going on, and then he got sucked up by the portal. And then Harry was gone forever.
Harry Potter needs to stop messing around with portals.
Pocket Guide to the Story, 2nd edition. Henry James Potter.
Pocket Guy! I'm sorry. Listen here. If your thing has a pocket guide, I'm out. That's it.
Henry James Potter, the son of Lily and James Potter, and the younger twin of Michael Potter, better known as Harry Potter for no apparent reason, lives with his grandfather, Voldemort.
For no apparent reason.
Yes. Direct descendant of the first emperor. Clement Potter, grandfather of Harry. Amulet of King of Glory, an ancient artifact created from an alien soul gem, which was in turn created from a drop of Lokarn's blood. Commonly believed to have been created by Akatosh, it houses the souls of all the emperors in existence.
That's a terrible thing.
Okay, that is correct. Okay, it is actually fully called the Amulet of Kings of Glory. Ha. Wow. Wow, so the author actually, I knew the author was wrong with this description. So the description he gives...
I knew the author was wrong, I just wasn't sure how.
The description he gives is actually, he took all three theories of how the amulet existed and matched them together.
Into one super terrible theory.
Because the three theories that exist are, it's a drop of Lokarn's blood, which is possible. Because we all know gods can bleed.
At least in the Elder Scrolls series.
Yes.
I was saying, and they actually bleed with fairly alarming regularity.
The next theory is that Akatosh created this to keep mortals safe from the Daedric princes. And then the final one is a theory that the amulet is actually just a soul gem of Iliad origin.
And Akatosh just took credit for it.
Okay, yeah, that's exactly what I thought. Uh-huh.
What?
Okay. Yeah, so the sources of this information for the three theories is 2 in-game books and a fan-run webpage for the third one, which is the Iliad Soul Gem.
The one that's probably wrong.
Yeah, I feel like this fan-run website is, yeah, there's no sources in this history of the Amulet of Kings page.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, this is the history of the Amulet of Kings. Oh, what's your source? Oh, we are the source. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay. So, yeah. They absolutely have butchered. I knew they were wrong. I just didn't know in which way they were wrong. It turns out all of them. The reason why I particularly believe the Akatosh one is because when the amulet is shattered, Akatosh is summoned. Which wouldn't make sense if it was actually a soul gem of Iliad origin or a piece of Lokarn's blood.
I mean, to be fair, he could have just been watching.
Yes, that is true. However,
And just been like, oh, somebody broke it. Time for me to pop out and claim credit.
yeah, I understand that, but there is the whole quest line that does lead up to that point, in which it heavily implies him shattering the gem is what allowed Akatosh to be summoned.
Oh yeah, I know. I mean, to be fair, they did a really good job of setting that up.
Yeah, as janky as the combat system in Oblivion was, I really enjoyed all the storytelling in it.
Well, yeah, I mean, the storytelling was actually really good.
I'm actually going to go send this story to someone who is a big Elder Scrolls buff and is going to be heavily triggered. Overlord Vulcan, Harry Potter. Dead but being written in the rewrite. What the shit?
What's wrong, buddy?
Hold on. Let me just drop this. At Okay, so this is Rise of the Dark Lord. Is this being rewritten at all? Rise of Overlord Vulcan, the rewrite. Read as how a different history, having an imaginary twin sister at a young age and having a different life before Hogwarts, changes Harry from a weak and lonely boy to most powerful dark wizard ever seen, the Overlord Vulcan. On hold until Muse returns. 28 chapters, 275,000 words.
See, I was hoping we were gonna get Vulcan just showing up. Vulcan disappears from the Warhammer universe to go chill in Harry Potter. That's where Vulcan's been this entire time, ignoring his kids. Because no one can ever let the Primarchs be good
this
dads.
Is version 3.
Oh, God.
Read
honestly, you...
What?
Honestly, you would have actually been better off with my stupid shitpost of a suggestion if you're on version 3.
Overlord Vulcan, this is the rewrite. Hopefully it's better than the last two. Warnings. Pedophilia. Smut. Incest. Rape. Torture.
Oh
Threesomes.
boy! These are some of our favorite things to report on fanfiction.net.
Foursomes. There's going to be a lot of rape and dark sex, and Harry Potter is going to be super evil and torture people. My dude. It's on the wrong fucking site, mate. Also, unfortunately, I have some news about the update to my attempts at getting the pedophilia writer deplatformed from Patreon. Did not work.
So, why? Please, I have to know what the idiotic reasoning was.
I was never. The thing is I just never got a response from them. I emailed them a question saying, is pedophilia by your guidelines allowed? And they responded with no. Here's a form you can report it at. I said thank you. I reported it. They said thank you for the report. We take these seriously and we'll look into it. And then I never heard back from them. And that was a month ago.
See, what we just need to do is get like a social media outrage mob going. Except there's people who are trying to push for pedophilia acceptance because they're, Bad people.
And I'm not talking about like, oh, it's two 14-year-olds having sex. I'm talking about like a 10-year-old's getting fucked by a 30-year-old. So
What the fuck, people?
the reasoning is that Shiro put too many points into charisma, and women just can't help themselves but to rape him.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Nah. Just... nah. Give that the hardest of passes.
Miss me with that shit. Author's note. I would like to apologize for the rewrite, but I would also like to point out that this isn't the first one I've ever done as a rewrite. As I'm doing so with Harry Potter and the Sekirei plan, this might also not be the last rewrite. You see, when I started this, I gotten 2 beta readers. I am the beta. Oh man, I actually like his story. I am the beta. Like, not enough to like recommend it to other people, but it was a decent story. And Supernova 64, both from the HP Fanfiction archive. After a long talk, it was decided that after working on Chapter 9, I would be better off rewriting the story than continue working on it. Both of them agreed that they wanted to Bing because it was bad. For more information, go to this address to see what's going on. Okay, you actually don't need to break up the topic if it's fanfiction. .net, because they actually don't block links to their own website. .net.
It's the only thing they don't block a link to.
I would like to say that at this time, both of my betas are having real life issues and are no longer able to beta this. Which is why he stopped updating his own work, which is really sad. Oh boy. One of them is now a parent. And they assisted in writing this fic.
That is concerning.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Alright, so this is Prologue, The Birth of Lucy Potter. December 2006, so we're just gonna skip 10 years, 15 years into the future. Yeah. Yep, 15 years. Wait, been 5 years since the 6-year-old Potter. So 2006. So he was born in 95 then? Ugh. Yeah, a lot fucking changed between being born in 81 and being born in 95. Jesus Christ. Anyway, blah blah blah. Harry was a slave. Blah blah blah. Blah blah blah. Actually, Harry was treated worse than a slave, because a slave would be allowed to eat and have fitting clothing and have a bedroom bigger than a broom cupboard. That's where you're wrong, author.
That's where you're really wrong. I don't think you understand how literal slavery works.
No, it says it had been 5 years since the 6-year-old Harry Potter was found on her doorstep. Is he wait? So he's 6 years old now. He's not 11. He's 6. So it's a 20-year time skip. Jesus Christ. like, I want to give him shit for this, because I gave Noodlehammer a pass when he did a 20-year time skip, but Noodlehammer, because I know him, actually addressed all of the time differences and how that would affect shit. Like Harry using a laptop to try and do his magic homework and crap. The power of alcohol, -10 to reading comprehension. I will have you know I comprehend just fine.
Also, you haven't been drinking, at least audibly.
I don't have the whiskey in front of me right now. I just have the remnants of the gin, which isn't much. Young Harry had nothing, and he was treated horribly. And they were all fat, and he wasn't fat. And they would beat him and only feed him water and dry bread. Blah blah blah, canon, exaggerated canon, exaggerated canon, exaggerated canon. They burned his food and they spit on him, and his uncle would beat him every day. Blah 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 blah. Harry is crying in the cupboard. He never got any presents. All he wanted to ever have was a happy, caring family. And oh, he wished it so much. He was sad and he wanted a friend. And he wasn't normal, and so he could never have a friend. But he really needed a friend, so he got the idea to create a friend. He would have an imaginary friend. And he would always have this friend because no one but him could see them.
Dealing with your problems the healthy way, children.
Repress them until it comes out as a secondary personality that you would believe is an imaginary friend?
Si, senor.
Alright. And this imaginary friend would love him like a family member because they would be a family member because that's what he wanted them to be. And all the Dursleys were eating food, but he got water.
You know, this is how serial killers are born, children.
No, this is just how mass shooters are born. Serial killers are more normal. And by normal, I mean like they weren't.
I don't want to say you're right, because that it feels like the wrong way to express that.
Well, let me rephrase that then. Serial killers aren't born from bad households. They can be.
Yes, there we go.
They can be, but they aren't directly from bad households. Serial killers come from what's called psychosis.
Well, I was gonna say, well, and as we've seen, a properly nurturing environment with strong moral foundations, wherever that strong moral foundation may come from, can in fact prevent those things from causing serial killers.
Well, sure, but
because, like I'm saying, like there have been times when people have been examined because, you know, let's say the child loses their shit and beats someone horribly.
Right.
When they get examined, the doctor's like, look, the fact that they're not like doing this all the time is amazing because they show all the signs of being either a socio or psychopath.
Right. No, I get you, but yeah, like the thing is that sociopaths are impulsive.
Yeah, Sneaky, I'm aware. I'm just saying it is possible with a properly nurturing foundation to prevent it.
I know. But what I'm saying is that serial killers, I can't say always, but
for the most
for the
part.
most part, are not sociopaths. They are typically psychopaths. Sociopaths are impulsive. They're the sorts of people that you see doing school shootings, doing church shootings, doing generally, getting into a car and running people over and mailing bombs to people. Those are the sociopaths because
Right.
they're impulsive, they are self-destructive, and they were created. Like, you're not born a sociopath. You create sociopaths through their upbringing.
Yes.
Psychopaths can be completely normal acting people, except one day they're like, hey, I have the money and I have the knowledge and I really fucking hate people with blonde hair who are in their mid-20s and have cheated on their boyfriends. I'm just gonna start killing them. Slowly,
And then you go, that's
carefully,
oddly specific.
and making sure to dispose of all the body parts with as minimal evidence possible. And then you also have the other psychopath angle of them setting up elaborate setups where they purposely leave a single clue behind, leading to another clue, leading to another clue, to
Well, no,
lead the police
that
onto big
that
cases.
actually generally happens from the ones that are super careful. Like generally, what will happen is they all start out as a super careful one.
Well, no, it's you have two paths. You have the people. Well, I'm not gonna say two paths, but again, generalizations. You have the path of the serial killer that just has the urge to kill X person, and you have the path of the serial killer who is doing it for the attention, for the thrill of the chase, for the focus on them, that sort of thing.
Right, but remember, here's the thing. Path 2 will never go to Path 1, but Path 1 can sometimes go to Path 2.
I suppose, yes, that's true.
Well, that's how people like, was it Ted Bundy? I think it was Ted Bundy, but that's how people like Ted Bundy get caught.
True.
Because they were super good at it. They didn't leave any clues, and then they started to leave clues because they're like, the cops haven't caught me in 30 years. They'll never catch me, even if I give them a clue.
Well, I mean, not only that, there's also the people that are purposely leaving the clue behind.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes Path 1 goes to Path 2, but sometimes it's just Path 2.
But I know, but you're saying like he's just getting clumsy or something?
No, I'm saying he did it on purpose.
Okay.
Because he was like, I haven't been caught for 40 years. Cops will never catch me.
But anyway, so point being is that this is gonna be dumb.
Yes.
So he flipped a coin, and he decided by the coin flip that he was going to invent an imaginary twin sister.
What is he, Harvey fucking Dent?
Yes. And it would clearly be a female version of him.
I mean,
and
actually, I
long
would
hair.
kind of like to read that. Harvey Dent and the oh my god, Dementors are scared of him.
Shy with a lack of confidence and a fear of his family, Harry often wished to be more confident in himself, but he really disliked the brash, cocky people who were always talking. So instead of brash and cocky, his sister would be quiet and calculating in public, but mischievous and fun-loving around those she cared for. Unlike him, she had the confidence to not care what people thought as long as she was happy with the decisions she made. So a psychopath.
I mean, technically yes, but bear in mind that is not a strict sign of
Yeah,
psychopathy.
I know. It's just.
Okay, just needed to be clear on that as a point of order.
So anyway, so the world is a strange place, and blah blah blah, many secrets. This particular secret was about to reveal itself to Harry was the existence of magic, and blah blah blah, magic did stuff because we thought it was real, then it became real. And
Good to know that we're working off 40K logic.
blah blah blah. Harry was magical, and he didn't know that he was magical. But Harry's magic was unconsciously manifesting to help him create his imaginary sister. And so Harry sat there and thought really hard about his imaginary sister, and he felt something well up inside him. And he tried to focus on this new sensation welling up inside him, but as soon as he tried to focus on it, it disappeared. Confused, Harry went back to focusing on his sister, only to notice the strange sensation again. But once again, as soon as he tried to now concentrate on this new sensation, it disappeared.
Now, you see, Harry, that's a sign that you should stop.
The phenomena repeated itself again and again and again until a frustrated 6-year-old Harry decided to ignore it and focus on creating his imaginary sister, which is probably what you should have done in the first place. It's almost like this sensation is being caused by you focusing on your sister, and every single time you stop focusing on your sister to focus on the new sensation, you stop creating the situation that causes the sensation. That's like poking your hand with a fork and then being like, ow, it hurts every time I poke my hand with the fork. And then so you lift up the fork to see what was poking your hand, and you're like, there's nothing poking my hand. And then you put the fork back down and start poking your hand again. It's just like, yeah, because you're stopping the thing that was causing the thing to happen. Like, look, I've seen more articulate 5-year-olds than some high school students. So if this Harry is 6 years old and apparently smart enough to have a philosophy about the world already, I think he can put 2 and 2 together. Just saying, you know. So anyway, Harry was abracadabbering and focusing on his sister. Now, Harry was super fortunate because the Dursleys ignored him so much. Harry was really good at about thinking stuff. And so he was able to completely imagine the full body of his sister while ignoring the strange sensation welling up inside him. The feeling built more and more.
See, I would say this sounds like the start to a bad porn, because it is.
Yeah, and probably. It is the start to a bad porn, but you know. Now Harry imagined his sister more and more and added more details, and he was tingling really bad now. And then the tingling turned into pressure, and then the pressure seemed to drive Harry harder and faster to think about his sister harder and faster. And then
And longer.
Yes, and then it became a feverish race between Harry adding characteristics and features to his sister, and the pressure building up inside him, harder and harder, pushing him faster and faster. Finally, the pressure peaked, just as Harry completed the last detail on his imaginary sister. And as he realized he was done, he felt the pressure surge and explode outwards.
When is he gonna feel a deep sense of shame? Because that's what usually comes afterwards.
With every nerve ending in his body lighting up simultaneously. The resulting loss of pressure drained all the energy from his young body, and Harry felt bad. Back on his bed, exhausted, and fell asleep overtake him. So, Harry, this is your bedroom, huh, brother?
Yes, that's exactly it, voice in my head.
What? Nani the shit? That is... I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 siblings. 5 siblings. And I, at no point in time, have ever had any of them say, so brother, this is your bedroom, huh brother?
Look, if
Yeah, brother!
Listen, if my sibling came up to me talking like that, I'd be like, what? It's Terminator. It's fucking Terminator.
How much cocaine have you done? A female voice said, startling Harry from his impromptu nap. He looked around and saw someone who looked like himself, only female. Hey, Harry, you're fucking 6. You literally look the same besides maybe hair length. And then a sly smirk began to creep across her face. Sister? Harry sputtered. Who else could I be? The girl responded playfully. What other girls do you know? Besides, who else could possibly fit inside this dreadful small cupboard? See, now that's actually a really good point brought up by the imaginary friend. If he doesn't know any other 6-year-old girls, then how exactly was he supposed to imagine a 6-year-old girl version of him? This is obviously the sisterless Harry's impression of what a sister would sound and act like. Yeah, she's acting very posh. It's true too. The other kids all barely acknowledged him, and he lived under the broom cupboard. No other person would ever fit inside where he was. It worked. I can't believe it worked. I'll have to tell everyone I have a sister. And he was whispering at his still imaginary sister. I wasn't positive it would work, but it did. This is
I have
awesome.
to tell everybody that I've lost my marbles. I'm pretty
I
sure
have to tell
Harry's...
everyone I have an imaginary sister now. I'm sure that'll help me get more friends.
That'll keep my step family from beating me. That's the logic we're operating on here, Harry.
Of course it works, silly brother. Why wouldn't it work? It's your imagination, and we both know how good you are at imagining things. And then Harry's imaginary sister hugged him. Harry was shocked. Not only did the imaginary sister idea work, but she could hug him, and he could feel the hug. Who knew imaginary friends could give you hugs? Harry has thoroughly lost it.
This reads much better as the sad tale of Harry Potter's descent into madness.
Indeed.
And so, the madness claimed Harry that day under the stairs.
And
He began talking about his sister.
He based her on the typical evil, scheming, conniving bitch sisters that exist in the shows that Petunia clearly watched in Fanon. Yes. He didn't know how or care how she was doing it. All he cared that he was enjoying a love-filled hug. How do you even know what a love-filled hug? It's your imagination, author. You
For all
literally
you
just
know,
said,
it could be a hug filled with hatred and loathing.
Yeah, it's like literally, author. You literally just said, "This is my imagination." It's like, okay, anything can happen here. Sure. My imaginary sister is hugging me. All right, it's filled with love. Okay. So what does a love-filled hug feel like? Oh, like a love-filled hug that I've never received in my entire life.
Has the author never been hugged? Is that what we're learning?
I'm gonna go Fortnite on your. I'm gonna go Fortnite dance on your grave. Thanks, Art.
Why is he gonna Fortnite dance on our grave?
Nexus's grave, but yeah.
Nexus probably deserves it.
Yeah, Nexus definitely deserves it for not showing up earlier.
Indeed.
Oh man, I now have a sister finally. Oh, I gotta name you. What is your name? I don't have a name yet, silly. You haven't given me a name yet. I would like you to help and select a name. That way I don't end up being called Daisy or Penny. What's wrong with Penny? Sure, sis. What do you want to be called? And then Harry began a back and forth routine with his sister, because they both had lots of fun proposing ridiculous names, trying to get the other to laugh. Never had Harry enjoyed himself so much for so long.
Was this secretly a shitpost and a troll? I'd be
I
happier if
feel
it
like
was.
this entire fucking first chapter is just an innuendo. Harry played with himself for hours, giving himself silly names.
Alright, now they aren't even trying to be subtle.
And they eventually decided, always before, his moments of happiness were brief, but this happiness lasted.
Come on, author. Try a little bit harder.
Harry's favorite memory of his life, blah blah blah, Louisiana Potter. Louisiana Potter.
This is when Isley's gonna tell us something we'd rather not know.
Probably. Now they came up with the name for Lucy, Harry could go to bed, and soon Harry would find out how special he was, and he would begin to learn what he could do with his new skills.
That's what I think of this story. Oh, kill me. Kill me now.
This is version 3. I want to properly describe this time around why Harry became so dark, and I hope you all will be able to understand what I'm writing this time. Either way, I apologize for taking so long to get this going again. You would find out how special he was. Oh no, Harry is on the spectrum. It's okay for me to laugh at it because I'm also on the spectrum.
I mean, I'll admit you're special.
That's what the doctor said. Let's see, blah blah, give me reviews, I want to know what you think of this. I was gonna wait until I'm done with Harry's childhood saga before posting, but I've finished the interlude for now. Blah blah, checking out my old blah blah, World at War, it's I am Zebetta's pen name, blah blah. Honestly, Harry Potter World at War wasn't too bad. I mean, it was very cliched in some parts, but it wasn't bad.
What was that one about?
Harry Potter World at War, um, it was something, it was a Bellatrix Harry pairing, and I forget,
Ugh.
look, yeah, it was weird and pretty cliched at some parts. There was no, like, marriage contracts and bullshit like that, as far as I can remember. But it wasn't, like, an immediate thing either, like, they did build up into it, and by the time it happened, I was just like, okay. As far if I'm remembering the correct story, that is.
I see.
Yeah. And before Lucy was born, the Voldemort Soul Shard, probably. All right, well, that is all we have for you today, folks. It is 9:20. That is it is later than we normally go. I hope you all appreciate the sacrifices we have performed for you, because we have sacrificed. We've sacrificed a
Is my
lot.
suffering finally at an end?
Your suffering is finally at an end for now. Alright. You can always play Dota after this.
No, I'm
Continue.
getting food.
Fair enough. Alright, so we will see you all next time. Or if I decide to get off my ass and actually play a video game and stream it. But either way, I shall see you all on Tuesday at 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Daylight Savings Time. Check the panels down below. It has the exact time in relation to your area. So, with that being said, there's always more and it always gets worse.